Hey y'all, I'm Carole Corey, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome back to my Creating Corner. Thanks for coming back. And if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found me. Go ahead and click subscribe and hit the notification bell, and then you'll easily be able to come back and stamp with me on another project. That'll be a lot of fun. So there's all kinds of good news with Stampin' Up! Well, this is August 2023, and all month long, the kits are on sale for up to 30% off. So if you don't have a U.S. demonstrator and you're in the United States, you can go to my 24/7 store and you see the address right at the top of the screen, and it'll be down in the description box below. But you can go to my store and click Kits Collection, and you'll be surprised. There are a ton of kits, all different kinds, and they're really a lot of fun, and they're a great value. So go check those out. And I'm also using those as a fundraiser for my September Great Cycle Challenge for the Children's Cancer Research Fund. So yeah, please go check out the kits collection. But there's all kinds of other good stuff with Stampin' Up! And we're going to be using a fun stamp set today. But look what we've got. Look what we've got. The new mini catalog. I can't wait. It goes live September the 5th. If you have not gotten a mini catalog yet and you would like to get one and you don't have a U.S. demonstrator, just drop me a message down below, or you can go to my website and email me from there. And I'll be more than happy to pop one in the mail to you. It's got the cutest things in there. I don't think I can show you inside the catalog. I can only show you like completed cards from it. But anyways, if you'd like one of these new fall mini catalogs, let me know. I'll get one to you. So today I am using a cute stamp set called Coffee with Friends. This is kind of like the same type of artwork on the In the Moment stamp set, which I just love that one too. But this is Coffee with Friends. And what I've done with Coffee and Friends is, this one is a vertical pop-up easel card. I've cut this panel to come loose so that when you open the card, it'll pop up. This is literally cut. I know I saw one where you put a little piece of paper under there to like push it up, but I wanted to do it, you know, the fun way. Cut it. So this is what we're working today. Let's get this down to the creating table and get started. Okay, so here we go. We're using the Coffee and Friends stamp set, and it's got some beautiful line drawings. I had another really fun card with this. I'll show you at the end of the video. But here we've got the croissants and coffee. Oh, that's always a winner. Sometimes you just have to reheat your coffee one more time and try again. I was a high school teacher, retired after 30 years. Let me tell you, I'm an expert on reheating that coffee and trying again. But then you've got this, Thinking of You and Coffee Too. Coffee with a Friend is like happiness in a cup. And Let's Get Together Soon. So today, for this card, I'm using the girls sitting on the, whatever you want to call it, the steps, the bleachers, the boardwalk. Because of the colors I'm using, you might want to consider it a boardwalk. And I'm also going to use the Thinking of You, and inside, Let's Get Together Soon. So let me show you the products, the cardstocks. I will have everything listed down below, and with the dimensions and all. But you know, I've got here, I have 2 strips of natural woven ribbon. They're about 5.5 inches long. And this is DSP from the Earth and Elegance DSP. You know, our designer series papers are always so pretty on both sides. You just can't sometimes choose which side to use. But I'm using this side this time. And this, of course, is just off the same piece that I cut it from. So then we've got a 2.75 inch pretty peacock square, a very vanilla square that's rectangle panel, 3.75 by 5 inches, a pretty peacock panel that is 4 inches by 5.25 inches. Those will be layered up. This piece of DSP, which is 1.5 by 3, 3.75. That'll get glued right there. I'm going to go ahead and do that so that we, let me go ahead and do that so that we kind of get some things out of the way. Minimize what's on the table here. There we go. I'm just using liquid all-purpose glue, multi-purpose glue, I guess is what it's called in the catalog. There we go. Okay, so these are together and out of the way. And then we do have these two pieces of designer series paper, the Earth and Elegance. These are both 2¼ by 4 inches long. We've got a scrap of gray granite, a scrap of pretty peacock, the 2.75 pretty peacock square. We have a 4¼ by 11 inch gray granite card base. Now it is scored at 5.5 and 2.75. So I know you'll think of it as a Z-fold card, but I'm folding it backwards. We're going to have it folded this way, and then it doesn't look quite so much like a Z-fold. Now and then we have this panel, which I'm probably going to cut down a little bit. It needs to go across the back here, but I'm going to trim this down just a tad bit so that it's not the exact same size. This is just to make the inside of the card neater. You don't even need this panel if you don't want it, but we'll get to that in a moment. And finally, we have watercolor paper. Oh, here it is. And here we have watercolor paper, 3 inches by 5 inches. Now we will be stamping the girl on this and cutting it out with a die from the Nested Essentials dies, which, did I put them over there by the, I'm going to use this machine. Dies. We're using, these are really cool. I like how they've got the rounded rectangles, the banners, and these hexagons. And I'm going to use this second to the largest hexagon for her. Okay. Now, when you are using water paint, okay, it's best to do it on watercolor paper. Now, you can sometimes watercolor on regular paper if you're not using a lot of, if you're not doing a lot of watercoloring, just a little tiny bit. I'm doing the whole thing pretty much in watercolor, so that's why I'm using this lovely pebbly watercolor paper. Now, obviously, I'm going to want to stamp in permanent ink since I am using the watercolor. When you're using blends, you really want to use Memento ink. When you're using the regular Stampin' Write markers or the watercolor, you'll want to use StazOn. I'm going to use StazOn for this project. I am doing a little bit using a blends, but if you're careful, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to use these very, very sparingly. So I'm going to do all of my stamping in the StazOn. Now you'll notice my stamp is not stained. We have a fabulous StazOn cleaner, and this does a great job at getting your stamp completely clean. So let me go ahead and stamp her right in the middle. Now this is a different kind of pad from normal. Now they're about the same size, but the stamp is a little bit bigger, so the larger item goes on the table, so the stamp will be on the table. And I'm going to take this StazOn pad and I'm just going to kind of lightly rub it. I'm not going to do the stamping, the tapping, just kind of lightly rub it. And it is all stamped up, and I'm going to stamp her right in the middle of my watercolor paper. Now, before it gets too dry on here, I mean, I could stamp a few times if I wanted to, but I do want to go ahead and clean it off while I can. There we go. And look at that. That permanent ink comes right off with this fabulous StazOn cleaner. It's not going to ruin your stamps. Okay, I'm going to cut it out before I start coloring. Now here I've got my adorable mini stamp and emboss machine. It's so cute. This is a shaky little table. I don't like using the cutting machines on this table, but it's so, this one is so tiny it's not really going to matter. It doesn't shake my table too badly. So I'm going to put her on there. Tell you what, I'm going to grab just a tiny little bit of washi tape. And yes, it is going to barely fit, but it's okay. I'm going to put just a little bit of washi tape there to make sure everything stays where it belongs. And see how it's shaking my table? I don't use my big one on here. And look how that folds up. The big one folds up just like this. So cute. So easy to put away. So easy to take wherever you need to take it. Alrighty. So here we've got my nested essential die. Done with this one. I'll just put it aside. And now I'm going to color her in. As I'm coloring her in, I am going to use two blends. When you're using a Stampin' Blend, it can bleed through. So you really do want to make sure that whatever you're using, if you're using a blend, it's something you're going to layer up. Like this is layered up. You can't open the card and see the other side of that because the blends do bleed through. Okay, so here I'm using the Ivory blend and the Dark Pecan Pie blend. I'm using the Ivory for her skin and the Dark Pecan Pie for her hair. And if you'll notice on our blends, just like on all of our markers, there's a thick line and a thin line. The thick line shows you it's the brush tip. The thin line shows you it's the fine point pen tip. Since this is with StazOn and I don't want it to run, I need to be careful, so I'm just going to use the fine point to try to avoid getting on the stamping. Here I'm using a Night of Navy Stampin' Write marker for her flip-flops. And this is, I believe, Orchid Oasis. Yes, this is Orchid Oasis. This is one of the 2022 to 2024 in colors. This is the last year that these particular colors will be available. And I am also using the Sweet Sorbet, which is one of the in colors, for her shirt. I'm going to use Pretty Peacock for her pants, and I'm also going to use Pretty Peacock for the top background. Oh, I didn't get my green. And I'm going to use gray granite for where she's sitting, and then I will use old olive for the ground. Okay, ready to watercolor. Now, as you see, I had pressed the lid to the body of the ink pad a while back, and to get the ink on the lid, and I used that as the palette. You know, sometimes I like to really water it down, and I just don't like getting water in my ink pad so much. So what I've gotten in the habit of doing is with one of these little paper pumpkin blocks. I mean, you can use any size block you want. You know, if I wanted to use, now this is a, what, size E, size D, you know, but I just go ahead and use one of these little paper pumpkin blocks as my palette. I just press it onto my pad, and then with my aqua painter, I can make it as light or rich in hue as I want. Now the aqua painter comes in a set of 3, and each one has a different width of brush. This is the narrower one, and then there's a wide one that's, golly, it's probably as wide as my pinky. You know, so the aqua painters are good, but I'm just going to squeeze it and get some water down here, and then I'm going to pick up some green. You can always add color. You can't necessarily take it away. So here I've got some green here, and when I've got something that doesn't have a designated line to stay within, such as her shirt, if I want to do a background like for the ground or the sky, I like to do watercolor, because that way you can just kind of, you know, feather it out as you wish. Okay. Now let me get some gray granite. And as I said, I'm going to fast forward it while I'm doing the water painting, but as I said, I will use Pretty Peacock for her pants and the sky, and Sweet Sorbet for her shirt. I did use the Orchid Oasis marker for the coffee cup. Okay. So here you go. With the water painting, her jeans and the background are both the same ink pad, the same Pretty Peacock, which is going to be the same as the accent color beneath her. And because it's watercolored, some is extremely lighter, but it's all the same color value, so it matches beautifully. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get to the main part of this. How do we make this a true pop-up? I saw a pop-up vertical easel card, but it had a square on there. And then when you opened the card, there were 2 half-inch pieces of paper that were bent, that were to act like a hinge to push your wings up. And if you're going to mail that, I just think it would end up being flattened out for so long. I didn't think it would really remain a true pop-up card. So I wanted to cut the panel. here is what it looks like not dressed. This is my trial here. So I cut the panel so it literally will come out when you bend the back. Now if you look from the other side when you open it up, you're going to have designer series paper in here, right, to cover the side panels. When you open your card, you're going to see where it's cut. You're going to see the designer series paper. That is fine, but I thought covering it is better. So that's what we have this extra panel for. But now, how do we cut this? I can't bring the machine over here, so let me bring my video over to the table over there and show you how to do this. Okay, this is my large stamp and emboss machine, and it has all your directions right on the hard panel, right on the base. So what we're going to do, let me grab a top. Okay, forgot my top plate. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, this is where I want the pop to be, right? So I'm going to put, this is a 3-inch square die. You can use a, oh, hold on, didn't get the 3-inch. Let's go with a 2.5. So I've got a 2.5 square die, and you notice I'm putting it where the points of the square, it's like a triangle, are on that score line. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of washi tape. You could use a post-it note if you need. I'm going to put a tiny bit of washi tape here just to make sure nothing shifts as I run it. As I run it through. Now, I don't want to cut all the way. I don't want to cut past about here, right? I don't want it to be disconnected off of the panel. So I'm going to hang it off the end of the cutting platform. If I hang it off the end of the cutting platform, there won't be any pressure on it, and so it won't be able to cut. So you see, it's just what, 1/8 of an inch, not even really 1/4 of an inch, I don't think. But I just don't want to go all the way to the score line. Oopsie, that kind of pushed that. Let's get this back here like that. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to put this one all the way through so you see what I'm saying. Did you hear that pop? Do you see how it's popped up? Because there's no pressure under there. So it didn't cut the entire die. See? It stopped just short of, whoopsie, where am I? Okay. It stopped just short of the score line. Now we got to do the same thing on the other side, right? So we'll turn it around. We'll put this die on the corner. You know, if you don't, I took it off to show you, but if you don't take it off, then you don't even have to worry about making sure. You don't have to take it off is what I'm saying. Just make sure that I get it exactly over the other cut so it doesn't mess up the whole thing. There we go. A little bit of washi tape. Have my platforms lined up. Have it off the edge of the platform. I think I'm going to put a little piece there to keep it from falling off. There we go. And again, I pushed it through. Oopsie. What am I doing here? There we go. And there we have it. It is not cut all the way through. Stops short. So when this folds, these will come out. There we go. Now we got to go make some sharp fold lines. Okay, so let me take my bone folder, give this a really good sharp crease along that score line. Give this one a really good sharp crease along the score line. I'm going to kind of fold these wings a little bit so they'll come up more readily. And then pop, when you turn it up, look how it pops up. That's the ticket. So that was 2.75 inch square. So here I've got a 2.5 inch square of Pretty Peacock that I'm just going to glue down. Cover that score line. Give it a pretty base background. This card comes together pretty quickly once you get your cut done. Now I'm going to take my designer series paper, and remember, you've got holes here, right? You've cut it out. You've got holes here. Don't put glue over the entire panel. You might want to just put the glue on this part and slide the panel in place. Of course, if you're putting the panel in the back, it doesn't matter, I suppose. There we go. I'm going to take some tear and tape, and I'm going to put some tear and tape here for my ribbon. Now what I'm going to do with the ribbon is I'm going to take my paper snips. I'm going to come up under here, and I'm just going to kind of snip some of these vertical, the horizontal. I guess you'd call, I don't know if that's the warp or the weave. It's probably the warp, right? I don't know. Okay, let me show you something quick and easy. When you want to pull the string like that, one side pulls very easily. See, you can just grab that string and just unravel it. Now the other side doesn't do so well, so what you could actually do is do one side, and the whole thing's getting covered up. You know which direction is going to pull easily. Cut it loose. I've got some tear and tape there. Put it down on the tear and tape, and you know this is the end that pulls easily. So then just pull it. And then there you go. put that down on the tape and you're all good. Now for this, I am going to mount this on with using dimensionals. But remember, the very tops are not going to be touching. So we're basically just going to put the dimensionals in the center part. And just pop her in the middle there. And there you go. And she pops up. Get that a little boop, there. Alrighty. Now we got it. That's good. Okay, now you see here how you can see through where the cuts are and the other side of the paper. That's why I say, okay, now I need to score this at, well actually, you know what, you can just fold it in half. Give it a good score. Just make sure you get your There we go. There and there. There we have it. There we go. Oops. Okay. Okay, now with my Pretty Peacock ink, I am going to stamp my inside sentiment, let's get together soon. Stamp it off once, make sure it's all stamped up. Just tap, tap, tap. There, it's all stamped up and looks good. Let's get together soon. There we go. And, glue the panel down on the inside. And thinking of you, I'm going to stamp in the Pretty Peacock. Thinking of you. Put it right there. There we go. Now with the 1-inch punch, cut that out, and with the 1 3/8 scalloped punch, this scrap Pretty Peacock paper, I will cut a circle. There we go. See? Okay. A little bit of glue on the back here. Now this is going to be my stopper for my easel, for this vertical easel card. This will be my stopper. Now, to be a stopper, you have to have it on at least one dimensional, but I like to go ahead and make my dimensional doubled. Really give it some stopping power there. Thinking of you. Okay, and there, it really holds it. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Now we just need to put some gems on it and we're done. Okay, so on this card, I'm going to be using some 2123 polished dots. No, the in color opal rounds. Of course, you could use the polished dots. That's what I used over here on this card. Oh, I just had it stuck on my finger, stuck on the finger. There we go, there's one, there's two, and there's three. And I'm going to put, I'm going to use, okay, this colored one wants to be there, so we'll just put that one there, and a medium. That really matches. Okay, I was going to use the lighter ones, but whoopsie. That'll do just fine. See, is that going to look right? Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, and I think I'm going to trim the little tassels a little bit. They're kind of out of control. Let's get this trimmed up a little bit. There we go. And there we go. Oh yeah, that's just so pretty. I think this vertical easel card is just awesome. I think that is just lovely. Anybody would be happy to get a card of this design. But you know, I really like this set. It's very versatile. Let me show you another card I did with this. So here we go, the Coffee with Friends set. Very versatile. And here I've got the pop-up vertical easel card that we just did together. And here's another pretty card. This is actually in the annual catalog, is something similar to this. And I thought, oh, that's so pretty. It's using the Grove die, and the fussy cutting is a lot of fun, to put it. Well, some people like to fussy cut, some people don't. I don't know how you do any kind of fussy cutting if you don't have the Stampin' Up! Paper snips. The tip is just perfect for getting down in there in the little tiny spots. Super sharp. I love my paper snips. But I also love this set, Coffee with Friends. You know, if you were a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, you could actually get this with a little bit of a discount. Or if you're not a demonstrator yet, when you become a demonstrator, you get to choose $125 of whatever you want for $99. So it's really a great value. So if you want to think about it, I'll put the link on down below for the join. You can check it out. If you have any questions, ask me. Of course, if you already have a demonstrator, get in touch with them and ask them about it. But if not, I'd be more than happy to help you. I'd be thrilled to help you. I love seeing people get good value for their money. And, you know, the more designs you can use a stamp set for, the better value that stamp set is. And when you have products like Stampin' Up! That are so high quality and how everything matches everything so well, that is value. So thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you like my card. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I love seeing those thumbs up. I appreciate it very much. And until next time, keep making the world a beautiful place. Bye.